It's the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com for March the 8th, and we did one for the 4 stakes races out at Santa Anita, and now we're doing one for the stakes races around the rest of the country. Gulfstream, Oaklawn, and Tampa Bay on this podcast. Tom Leach along with Keeneland's director of simulcasting, Jim Goodman. Let's start, Jim, at Gulfstream Park. Really nice renewal of the Grade 2 Gulfstream Park handicap for 4-year-olds and up at a mile. You've got horses that ran in the Triple Crown races last season, like Palace Malice and It's My Lucky Day, Falling Sky coming off a nice win. How did you see this one?
Well, I'm stupid. I'm going to go against the Belmont winner, the Jim Dandy winner in his 4-year-old debut, but that's never stopped me before. Palace Malice looks like this has got the looks of a prep race to me. It's been a long time, January of 2013, since he's run this short. I mean, all the classic distances, of course, he excelled at, including the Belmont and Jim Dandy at a mile and 8. But a mile, speed favoring track, I don't really like him from the outside post, so I'm going to take a stand against Palace Malice with Falling Sky to repeat off a very impressive Gulfstream Park Sprint win on February 8th at 7 furlongs, won by 5.5, and could have probably won by 10 if he tried it with a 104 buyer. He's really good right now for George Weaver. So I'm going to take Falling Sky, the 4 on top. Palace Malice probably to get up for second in a race that's obviously setting him up for something else in the future. I'm going to do an exacta wheel 4, and I'm going to use the 4 on top with a 2, 7, 8. I'm going to use It's My Lucky Day. A little intriguing to me. The horse hasn't run since June at Monmouth and actually pulled up and banned off. But Ed Place was a very good trainer, and he's got him back in running shape, and he may show up with an effort good enough to get up for second or third. So I'm going to use him below, along with I think the other horse I was going to use was Golden Ticket, Kenny McPeak's horse. So 4 on top of 2, 7, 8.
I'm going to bet that It's My Lucky Day does a little bit more than get up for second or third. He's my pick. I think the value will be really nice, and I just think he's got a lot of class. I think a mile may turn out to be his best distance, mile and 16th, and he's got 2 bullet works for this start. And he loves Gulfstream, and he was at his peak around this time down at Gulfstream last year. So I think maybe they've pointed him to race or two here over his favorite track, favorite time of year. It's My Lucky Day. I'm going to pick to fire a big shot off the layoff for Eddie Place. And I'm going to make him my key horse in exactas. So It's My Lucky Day over the 8 Palace Malice, the 4 Falling Sky, and the 2 Golden Ticket, all the ones you mentioned. And then flip It's My Lucky Day into the 2 hole, but a little heavier with It's My Lucky Day on the top side in the exactas. At Oaklawn Park, 6th race is the Grade 3 Honeybee for 3-year-old fillies. Mile and 16th here. And you've got some horses that looked good coming off maiden wins, or in the case of the one, a maiden and then a kind of an entry-level stake. I ended up going with Kiss Moon. It was going to be a little bit of a price. Had a lot of trouble at the start of her stakes debut for David Vance. Previous effort was, I think, good enough to be right there in this group, and I'm going to bet that she can get back to that effort, and if she does, it'll be at a good price. The one, Please Explain, I think you have to look at for Tom Proctor. Looks like she's gotten good. And then there are 2 Asmussen trainees, the 3 Silk Purses coming off a maiden win, and the 6th, Urazin, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but has kept a little, has played a little tougher schedule, if you will. But both are working really well, and I always take note of Asmussen horses that are working a little faster than is typical for him. So the 8 for me over the 1, the 3, and the 6, and then the 8 being the key horse, and I could flip her into the 2 hole in the exacta. What about you?
Well, I thought this race was tough, and we're completely exactly opposite, I think. I took Taurus, the 2 horse, for Todd Beatty, coming out of a stakes race at Laurel, shipping to Oaklawn, and hadn't been tested, really. Went off at 1-5 and won by 5.5 lengths after a 7-length lead in the stretch. 88 buyer, first time out at Aqueduct, caught my eye. That's a very strong buyer for a 2-year-old filly debuting in December. So I like the fact they're shipping down there. And also, if you look at the races she came out of, there's been 2 other horses that came back and won. So they're both key races. I'm going to take Sugar Shock on the outside is a horse that I like, but I don't like the 11 hole. I think they may use her up. But a Candy Ride filly looks like she's done well at Oaklawn. She's 2 for 2 at Oaklawn. So you got to like the fact that she's already used to the track. The other horse that I like was Kiss Moon, the 8 horse that you picked on top, along with the one Please Explain for Tommy Proctor. But I'm going to take Taurus on top.
3 graded stakes races on the card at Tampa Bay Downs on Saturday, and the headline is the Tampa Bay Derby, which we'll get to in a moment. But let's start with the 9th race, the Grade 3 Hillsborough for fillies and mares 4 and up at 1 1/8 miles on the turf course. And I think there's probably a good chance you'll see some of these horses back at Keeneland in the spring meet. I ended up going with the 6 Repost, a horse I picked last time. I thought she found her best stride late in her U.S. debut. Was pretty well bet in that race, and now has gotten 3 good works in since that. So I'm going to take Repost, the 6, and then key her over the 3 Gulfstream, the 2 Waterway Run in Exactas. The 6, the pick to win it, and the key horse in the Exactas for me. What about you?
I thought this was a 3-horse race, so I've got a trifecta box with Repost on top. Would be she would be my first choice. I remember you picked her last time out. Mott, first time North America. She's got triple-digit Racing Post figures in Europe, so I think she fits very well here, and I would think that she'd be the favorite. But the other 2 horses I like in here, and I like them quite a bit more than the rest of the crew, is Cloudscape's the 4, 2 for 2 at Tampa, including the Grade 3 Endeavor. The other horse that you didn't mention is Gulfstream, Tom Proctor, with Castellano, and coming off a good effort at Santa Anita, shipping over cross-country for this spot, and I think she fits very well. Castellano takes them out. I'm going to do maybe a $2 trifecta box or even a $4 trifecta box, which would cost $24 with a 3, 4, 6, and thinking that you might get a little bit of a price if Repost doesn't win, but Repost would be my top choice if you stuck a gun to my head.
10th race is the Grade 3 Florida Oaks, 3-year-old fillies on the turf at 1 1/16 miles. Got a horse that won a stake here at Keeneland last fall, Kitten Caboodle for the Ramseys that's in here. Got Testa Rossi, who ran well in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. Where did you go?
I like Testa Rossi. I thought that this one was, if you're playing multi-race wagers here, and this is start of the pick 3, I think it's the second leg of the pick 4. I think Testa Rossi is a good single. Second in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies turf. I think she's the best bet of the day. Chad Brown is very good at getting her ready, and she closed from way off the pace to run behind Crescillion that day. And if you remember, Crescillion was the horse that looked so great in the paddock, and Testa Rossi competed very well and beat a lot of good fillies that day. So I'm going to take her on top. I'm going to wheel her in Exactas and tries with Kitten Caboodle for Ramsey, the 1 horse, and a horse called Miss Bessie Lou for Bill Mott that comes out of a Gulfstream race that she won an optional $75,000 claimer 3 weeks ago and finished up well there. So Testa Rossi is my pick, and that's the best bet of the day for me.
Miss Bessie Lou is interesting because Mott's dangerous on these big days. He usually points for them. I'm going to try Kitten Caboodle. The only thing I didn't like about Testa Rossi was the post position, the 12 hole. Reddy's Legend I liked a little bit, and she's in the 11 hole. So Kitten Caboodle's drawn down on the rail. Bullet Work for the 3-year-old debut is a graded stakes winner off that effort at Keeneland, and just thought got the best of the draw. So Kitten Caboodle mainly about post position, and I think you get a little value there over those others out on the outside. So Kitten Caboodle for me to win. And then probably, I think, an exacta box I would try with Kitten Caboodle, Reddy's Legend, the 11, Testa Rossi, the 12, and then I might throw in one other horse for a 4-horse box. I picked for the blog I Stanford, the 9, so that would be 1, 9, 11, 12 in a 4-horse box. I'll go back and look at it again on Miss Bessie Lou. I might use her instead of I Stanford, but Kitten Caboodle's the key horse for me. 11th race is the Grade 2 Tampa Bay Derby, 3-year-olds at 1 1/16 miles. Who'd you like?
Nice race. I mean, I liked a couple of horses in here, but I can make a case for maybe 6 or 7 of them. I came down on the side of Conquest Titan. I went back and watched the Holy Bull. Cairo Prince is one of the Derby favorites, and Conquest Titan was the second best horse. And wasn't going to beat him, went way outside, but finished up well. It was a first race off a little bit of a layoff. And last year in the Breeders' Security at Keeneland, he ran decent behind Wee Miss Artie. And I think Conquest Titan is getting good right now from Mark Cassidy, so I'm going to take him on top. Matador, the 3-horse, kind of intrigues me a little bit. They ran in the Sam Davis. His best form was on the turf, in Woodbine, and then he came back and ran on the poly at Woodbine, didn't do very well. And he ran really well in Sam Davis behind Vince Ameros, who's the other horse that I like for Todd Pletcher. I think you're going to get a lot better price on Matador than you are on Vince Ameros simply because of the connection. So I'm going to take him with Vince Ameros behind. So I'm going to play Conquest Titan, the 5 on top, Key the 3 Matador and the 6 in the second spot of the trifecta with the rest of them.
I'm going to try to beat Conquest Titan. That's the horse I started to go to, and I think this horse really seems to have flourished since they changed his running style. That race at Churchill last fall, he was past the whole field. He was just incredibly impressive, and then used that same style with a strong late run last time out in his 3-year-old debut. But coming from out of the clouds like that, you're always subject to some traffic issues, and so I'm going to try to beat him for that reason with the 2 Surfing USA, which is the other Pletcher, perhaps. Vinceramos comes off a win there at Tampa Bay. Surfing USA was a good second in his 3-year-old debut to top billing, and we know how good he is. So it's second off a layoff, very good angle for Pletcher. Horse had a really sharp workout for this on the 23rd of February, and this is one of Pletcher's big clients. So I'm thinking that he's got this horse right, and this is the time to pick up points and get qualified for the Derby for one of his big clients. So Surfing USA, the 2, is going to be my pick for the win, and then I would use him. I think the horses you mentioned, probably at either Key, Surfing USA, probably the better play is a 4-horse exacta box with Surfing USA, Matador, Conquest Titan, and Vinceramos, because Matador, I think you make a very good point on it, and there's where you could get some value if you can get him to second or to win it with one of these others in an exacta box. So Surfing USA is going to be the pick for me in the Tampa Bay Derby. Best of luck to everybody with your picks. Don't forget to keep your account funded at KeenelandSelect.com because racing's really heating up. We're just around the corner for the Keeneland meet. Next week we've got the Spiral Stakes at Turfway, and then the next weekend it'll be the Florida Derby and the Louisiana Derby, and Dubai World Cup weekend. So make sure you always have some funds in that Keeneland Select account so you can play each weekend. And we will be back here to talk about it next week on the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com.